In a world where time is of the essence, two students embark on a chromatography journey like no other. Following in the footsteps of Mikhail Tsvet, they will experience the wonder of a process that has shaped the world of chemistry for over a century. As the experiment begins, they join the ranks of those who have marveled at the power of chromatography, a technique responsible for the purification of molecules such as plant pigments, antibiotics, flavors, small molecule drugs, vitamins, and many, many more. But little did they know, their journey had only just begun. As the time ticked away, it dawned upon them that chromatography is super slow. Like all students introduced to open column chromatography, our budding chemists begin to fall asleep. In their dream, the room begins to quake, and a mixture of colorful compounds defies gravity, mixing and swirling in a kaleidoscope of confusion. Injected into a new world, our students achieve every chemist's dream, a super efficient flash chromatography process. Surrounded by silica and solvent, our students accept the invitation to the party. It's disco time. After party, anyone? It's time to join silica in the separation process. Riding full speed over the chromatogram, the students are separated. And faster than a speeding bullet, the chromatography process is finished. If only the flash chromatography dream could be a reality. And with BUCHI's help, it is. The Pure Essential system is here. Fast, efficient, and tailored to your needs. Who wants to give it a try?
Welcome everyone to this exciting product launch, the first steps into fast separations. My name is Birke Götz and I'm Global Product Manager for Purification at BUCHI Labortechnik in Flawil. And I'm here today together with my colleague Peter Neff.
Hi there, my name is Peter Neff and I'm responsible for the chromatography business here at BUCHI. And I'm really excited today to introduce you to the new Pure Essential Chromatography system.
But before we talk about this latest flash instrument development, Peter, we would like to get to know you a little bit better because, Peter, you are the Global Business Area Manager for Purification at BUCHI, and together with your team, you are the driving force for that business. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I actually studied chemical process engineering. So that was the first time I really started to learn about separation sciences. And there I worked a lot with simulated moving bed chromatography, so more the process side of chromatography. And that got me really hooked. And when I graduated, I started working in the application lab. And there I got to learn more about the flash chromatography side of it. So more the lab scale chromatography. And I'm still in the field today. So I liked it.
And do you remember when you did and how you did your first chromatography experiment?
Yes, that was in the chemical synthesis lab. So I was synthesizing small molecules. And then, of course, you always have the cleaning up steps. And that I have to, of course, do with open column chromatography. So yeah, pretty time consuming. Not very reproducible, and yeah.
Okay, so which means open column chromatography was not your most favorite topic, right?
No, I mean, it did work.
I
mean, the technology works. It's also fascinating. You have silica and you have your solvent. You can do the separations, but it's just so time consuming. You really need to reserve a time block. You need to plan it in. You need to pack the columns. You need to redo your separations because mostly it doesn't really work. And yeah.
And that was actually too much for such a young student, right? Too much time, too much effort, too much frustration. Okay. So if you now remember back to your time at university, what would have been your wishes regarding a chromatography instrument just to make it more efficient?
Well, the start actually in the synthesis lab is, or in a lab in general, is quite tough because you are overwhelmed with all the different instruments you need to learn, with all the different software, the methods, the technology. And yeah, for me, actually just having easy to operate instruments would have been the best. So if I could choose, I would have a fast and easy to understand instrument.
Which actually means you essentially dreamed of our new pure chromatography development, right?
Yeah, for me, the main thing is to overcome this frustration, to really help the scientists have an instrument that they can easily understand.
Great. So actually amazing, because you left university maybe around 10 years ago. Now we are sitting here together and you are launching and introducing an instrument you already dreamed of during his time at university, right?
Yes, so I suggest we start unboxing this
Yeah.
new pure essential chromatography system.
Cool, let's do it. I'm curious to see it.
So let's go and get the boxes.
Let's get the boxes. Good. So that's the first one. Okay. So we open it. So let's see what we have inside. Good. Perfect. So, okay. Oh, that's a clever design. Cool.
Yes, the engineers did a good job with this.
The engineers. Okay, perfect.
So
That's
we've got
easy
the
to handle.
certification
The
here.
certification, the
We've
accessories.
got the accessories.
Yeah.
And this is the pump system.
This is the pump. Good.
So what we have here is the instrument that makes your separation faster and more reproducible. So it consists of a 3-piston pump inside.
What does that mean? And for what is
A
it?
3-piston pump allows you to have a pulsation-free flow of solvent. And this really gives you the speed you need for your separation. So you can force the solvent through. You've got the 50 bar, so you have no limitation on back pressure. And this allows you to do these fast separations.
Okay, cool.
What you also have is on the back of the system for reproducibility. And that is here, these solvent lines. So you've got 2 solvent lines on this instrument. So you can run binary gradients. So you can run isocratic runs, step gradients, linear gradients, whatever you want. Always highly reproducible and accurate, together, of course, with the pump. And this is all controlled with this software here. So the instrument contains the software. It's controlled by this 7-inch screen.
Yep. Okay.
And yeah, very simple and easy to use. It's the lowest configuration.
Cool.
So it just gives you the speed and reproducibility.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. What else do we have?
I suggest we continue with the next module.
Yep.
And this is the UV detector module.
Yeah.
And this is this guy here. It's a
That's
small package.
That's a very small packaging. So let's see what we have inside there.
And this is a 4 fixed wavelength UV detector. And with this, you can see what comes out of your cartridges. So here you've got
that's really
cables.
small. Ooh.
And
Okay.
then you have this small guy here. As I mentioned before, 4 fixed wavelengths.
Yep.
So you can detect various compounds, so from low UV range to high UV range. It fits nicely on the back of the instrument, so on the back of the pump module.
Yeah.
So it just fits here like a little backpack.
Okay.
You can place it here.
Here.
You also have your solvent lines connected outside, so you can really see if everything's tight.
Okay.
You have full control, you have full access to it.
Yeah.
Typically you come in from the bottom and out at the top, just for the air bubbles.
That's
that
really
can
cool
occur.
because typically these UV detectors are somewhere hidden in the instrument, right? And now we just have it at the outside.
Exactly,
And
full access.
if there is something, we can just easily get there. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
That's nice.
And it's also plug and play. So you can connect it via these COM ports with this cable here.
Good.
And the software automatically recognizes if the instrument is plugged in, and you have these additional features. So what you actually gain with this is visibility. You see what comes out of your column.
So if I connect it, the system knows it.
Yes,
it sees it
plug and play
immediately. Okay, because we know that, right? Sometimes that can be really a lot of work or not so easy to get all these components connected to each other, but this is automatically done.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so UV detector to see everything. We have the pump to push the solvent and the sample through the cartridge.
And then
what else do we have?
The last module that we have.
Yeah.
This is the big box here.
Okay. That's really the big one.
This is the fraction collector. I'll place it down here.
Yeah. Here's the knife.
Knife.
Okay.
And this allows for automated fraction collection.
Okay. Yeah. That's bigger.
So you of course need the space because you of course want to collect as many fractions as possible. So what we have inside here in this enclosed compartment here, this is where you collect your fractions. So you will have racks inside with vials, and you collect your fractions in there.
And it's closed. It's completely closed.
Exactly, it's enclosed and it's also ventilated. So at the back of the instrument you have this active ventilation. You can connect this hose to the back, put it to a ventilation system, put it in the fume hood, and you can use or save on valuable bench space. So you can use the bench space in the fume hoods for the synthesis, for the really dangerous stuff, and you can operate the instrument outside.
That's cool.
And this instrument allows you full flexibility of racks you can use. So for small vials up to large ones, up to funnel racks, etc. You have space here on top for solvents, or you can even place your instrument on this. So you have full flexibility, you can play around, and what the fraction collector essentially helps you with is it prevents you babysitting the instrument. So you can run the fast separations with the pump, automatically collect everything that comes out of the cartridge. If the UV detector is hooked up, you can collect peaks.
Okay.
So it will save you vials, but you can also operate it without the UV detector.
Okay, and if I have the UV detector, I don't need, for example, to go for TLC. I mean, TLC typically takes some time, right? If you have a lot of fractions, you have a lot of TLCs to do. But with the UV detector, that's it. I see it.
You see even the lowest concentration of fraction coming out. You will see that as a peak in the software. The instrument, the fraction collector will automatically collect, so it will save a lot of time.
So which means the footprint is actually here the size of this fraction collector. That's the minimum footprint.
Exactly, and this UV detector, of course, would be placed on the back of this instrument. And this whole system, as a configuration, this is your first step into fully automated flash chromatography.
So Peter, we have a great system. I see we have great functionalities. We have great features. As I said, you were the driving force for this instrument, for this idea. What idea did you actually have had in mind for this instrument?
So for this instrument, this needs to be very easy to use, really focusing on the essentials of chromatography.
Okay.
So we really gain the speed and reproducibility with the pump. We see the most important wavelengths. We see. So we know what's coming out of the cartridge. And here, without a compromise in safety, with active ventilation, we can collect all kinds of fractions into all kinds of vials.
So just no frills, just the super basics. What I need to do, fast separations. That's it.
Exactly.
Now, Peter, we know that the heart of any chromatography system and also other systems is the software. The optimal situation or case is if I just go to the instruments, I switch it on and I can use it immediately. I know that was a big topic during product development, right? Can you give us some information on that?
Yeah, so typically it's more difficult to make an easy software than to make a complex one.
Okay.
So what we try to do is really take the user into consideration, really figure out what are the essential steps a chromatography user needs to do to operate an instrument, operate or do chromatography. And we could really break everything down to the essentials, and this software is really easy to use. So we did a lot of user testings, and most people could just go on the software and just run.
No training, nothing.
Nothing.
Just use it. Great. Can we have a look to the software?
Sure. So our instrument is designed with the user in mind. So this is the start screen of the instrument, and this is your entry point into the chromatography software. If I go here, I get into the chromatography screen, and the chromatography screen allows me to set all the parameters I need to set for a run. So in this page here, it is the gradient, so the very accurate gradient. I can set that gradient points over time. I can add points here, I can delete them. In this panel here, I've got the cartridge size, so I can adapt the cartridge size and it will change the corresponding parameters. I can also reduce safety parameters such as pressure and flow rate. What I also have is the possibility to add or remove certain wavelengths for being measured during the run. Then I also have the possibility when the fraction, if the UV detector is added, I can collect peak mode, and else if only the fraction collector is added, I can go for all or none. If I'm happy with the method or the run, I can save it as a method, and then it appears in here in the method screen. After the run has been performed, I can go into the run menu and see. Finally, I also have the settings menu, and the settings menu allows me to optimize the settings on the instrument.
So Peter, we learned about these three models: the pump, the UV detector, the fraction collector, and depending on the user's needs, he can combine it like he wants, right? So
Exactly.
high flexibility.
We have fullest flexibility with the accessories we offer for this instrument. So we have accessories for the pump system itself, plus we also have a lot for the fraction collector module. And
Cool.
if we start with the pump system,
Yes.
we have the first one. This is the cartridge stand, which can be placed either on the left or the right of the instrument. And this goes very well with this cartridge clamp. So this cartridge clamp is made of anodized aluminum.
Yeah.
It fits all kinds of plastic pre-packed columns.
This one, this is
So
a
this is
330 gram. Does it fit?
330 gram.
Perfect.
Fits
It holds
perfectly. And
And
this
then you-
can be placed next to the instrument.
Yeah.
And of course you can hook up the tubing, and it also works for the much smaller cartridges, 4 gram up to 330 gram.
How about these ones?
The
Glass columns?
Glass columns, they're also a perfect fit for this instrument because they can also operate with much higher pressure.
Correct.
So this pump can go up to 50 bar. So can this glass column. So you can fill in all kinds of stationary phases, small particles, specialized silicas. You can fill whatever in here and also place them in this cartridge clamp.
How about this one? The biggest one? We have
The
even
large
bigger
ones for large volume separations, this
Yeah.
goes external. So you can place them next to the system with a normal V-stand. So
Okay.
also connecting it with the pivot clamp.
Okay, super. So glass columns, possible to connect.
So
Perfect. So that's it regarding the pump, the options,
yes.
right? The holder. Now let's switch to the fraction collector.
And for the fraction collector, you will need, of course, full flexibility with the vials you use.
Yeah.
So these are the standard ones. These
Yeah.
are the new plastic racks. So they nicely fit with the new design of the instrument. They also have much more space in here.
Yeah.
So you can place in more vials. So in this case, 16 millimeter rack or 18 millimeter rack,
Yeah.
you can fit in 75 vials in one of these racks, and you can place two of them
Okay.
in this
That's a lot.
fraction collector.
That's a lot. How about the noise here? I mean,
Yeah, so,
you made it now plastic.
and glass, it reduces
The noise.
significantly the noise
Exactly.
emissions.
Yeah.
Because if you have metal racks,
It's
you
always
can
noisy,
hear it,
right?
yeah.
You always hear it. Okay, so this is for standard collection, standard sample sizes. Now, if the user wants to go for larger samples, we have other racks available.
So for instance, yeah, using the larger separations, you would use larger columns or glass columns in
Yeah.
this case. Plus you can then
We have this
also
one.
use these special racks. So this is a French bottle racks. It fits 4 French bottles with a volume of around 480 milliliters. You can place 2 of them inside the fraction collector, so you can collect 8 fractions in these French bottles. Plus you also have a waste vial, which prevents cross-contamination. So the nozzle of the fraction collector quickly purges in this waste vial and prevents the cross-contamination.
And here typically it does it in the first vial.
Exactly.
Okay, good.
Exactly.
Now, if we have larger, even larger volumes of fractions, we have another solution, right?
Yes, so for the largest fractions, we have the funnel rack. And the funnel rack is this guy here.
Okay.
And here you don't collect in any vessel directly, you collect into the funnels. So you have 8 funnels in here. They're connected to tubings, and these tubings can be directed to any vessel you want, typically large bottles or even barrels in some cases. So you can place 2 of these racks inside the fraction collector, and the hoses, they go out. You have a special door for this with an opening at the bottom, and these tubings go directly into the barrel. So this also works, is typically used for large-scale separations.
Okay, and then we have another one. I think that's an amazing one. That's something very new, right? A new idea.
This is very cool because it's a nice add-on to the roti. So you can directly collect into the evaporation flask. So this is, for instance, a half-a liter evaporation flask of the roti.
Yeah.
So you don't need to transfer the sample into another vessel. So you directly collect your fractions in here.
Yeah.
And go on the roti.
Exactly. Use it for the roti. Perfect.
So also perfect fit.
A nice solution.
Also some time saving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, and then what else do we have for on top?
So we can also place solvent bottles. I mentioned that before. We can place them on the instrument. We also have an accessory here. Fits like Lego. This is a solvent bottle platform with a containment inside. So in case there is a leak on a bottle, or it will contain all the solvent, it will prevent it spilling over the instrument. It can be used either on the instrument or next to the instrument. You can also place the pump inside. It's just an additional feature for enhancing the safety or the safe operation of this instrument.
Hey, so Peter, thanks a lot for the introduction. We now understand we have 3 modules where the user is flexible how to combine it. Besides that, we have several accessories for the consumables and for the racks, right? And we have the solvent platform. I think that's that opens really the door for any application, even so this is an essential instrument, right? Still, the user has many possibilities.
You still have the full flexibility.
Yeah.
And yes, now we're ready for your questions, and you can ask those in the chat, and we will be happy to answer them in the room behind us.
Okay.
Thank you.
So then, let's go.
Good.
Okay. So, So now we come to our live Q&A session. Thanks for still being with us. Peter, you gave us a great introduction to this new pure essential chromatography system. And now it's time for you, the audience, to ask any question you want. So please, you can do this via the chat. And I will see immediately here on my mobile phone the questions coming in. And then I will ask these questions to Peter, and he will answer. If there is an open question after the event, just use this QR code here on the top. Okay? And now we give you a little bit time to submit your question. And that means, Peter, I have the first question to you. And that is, you were introducing us this instrument as a perfect fit for open column chromatography users. You were saying it's faster, it's safer, and so on. Can you give us some numbers regarding that?
So compared to the open column chromatography with this automated system, you have the whole process optimized. So you have the gradient, you have the flow rate, everything is optimized, you have the pre-packed cartridges, and this makes the whole process at least 5 times faster as with the traditional open column chromatography. And what you also have is a lot of solvent saving, so you can save up to 50% of the solvent compared to open column chromatography.
Excellent, thanks. So we have a look. Yeah, now we have the questions coming in from the chat. Peter, there is the first question asking, I think we were talking about that, but about the cartridge sizes. Which kind of sizes can be used or connected with the instrument?
So we have a full range of cartridges in our portfolio, and the most commonly used ones, the 4 to 330 gram cartridges, they go directly on the instrument. So they go on the stand that is on the instrument. The larger ones, this is typically for process applications, the 3 and 5 kg cartridges, they go on a V stand next to the instrument. So they also work with the instrument, but on the instrument it's 4 to 330 grams.
The standard sizes.
Yeah.
Everything that's bigger goes to the external one. Great. So we have another question, and that is, are the columns pre-packed, or the users can pack their own columns? I think you mean which kind of columns can be connected to the instrument.
Yeah. So the easiest solution here is the pre-packed ones, so the plastic cartridges that are pre-filled. So you just buy a box of these cartridges and employ them on the instrument and do your separations. But what we also have is these glass columns. And the glass columns can be filled by yourself, either with slurry filling or dry filling, and they can also be used with the stationary phase you want. So you can even modify your stationary phase, fill it in the glass columns, and also use them on the system.
And use it here with the clamp, for example, connected. Or if it's very big glass columns, you use the external V-stand, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So now we come to the next question, and that is how large can be the sample volume injected on the instrument? Peter.
So this always depends on the column or cartridge you employ. So typically there you would go for a different mode of injection. So you would use the sample chamber. So for really large volumes, let's say 1 liter on a 5 kg cartridge, you would use the sample chamber. And you would then use pressurized air to force the sample onto this large cartridge. Because there is no chance you can do this by injecting with a syringe or by hand.
Perfect, okay. Then we have a similar question actually which I had, and that was, how fast is the instrument? Peter?
Yeah, so it's basically 5 times faster, and this just for a standard or basic applications. It can of course be much more fast depending on the complexity. So for natural product application, where with the open column, for instance, you have difficulties to modify the gradient, you can really increase the speed with this automated solution.
I think there is a lot of interest, how fast is the instrument, okay? But 5 times, that's really amazing. What happens to the results of the run?
Okay, so after you do the run, the results are presented. You can see everything on the instruments. You can check where your fractions have been collected in the fraction collector, and you can do the post-processing. If you by any chance or in any case want to go back, you can see everything stored on the instrument, or you can even get the data, the raw data as a CSV file or the PDF file on a USB key. So you just plug it in and then you have everything. I think the cool thing is you also have this PDF report. It's customizable for you, and this is a real benefit of this instrument.
Okay, perfect. So then, yeah, there is a question regarding the comparison between this new Essential line and the pure C800 line, which we have. What is the difference?
So with these instruments, we focused mostly on the Essential.
Yeah.
So it's really here as the first step into the automation. So we have, for instance, only binary gradient here in this case. And the UV detector is a fixed wavelength detector. So there is the Essential for doing your runs. For more advanced separations, for more advanced features, there the C800 instrument is in place.
Yeah, okay, thanks a lot. Then we come to the racks. Peter, you have shown us all the racks which can be used with the instrument. We have funnel racks, we have it with glass tubes, different sizes, we have it even with the roti flasks, right? Then there's a question, can you use third-party racks with the instrument?
No, for this instrument we only have the BUCHI solution, but we have the full range. So we have the smallest vessels, the smallest vials, up to the large scale. So for each application you have a tailored rack from BUCHI to use on this instrument.
Good, okay. Now the next question, yeah, interesting. Can the instrument be used for reverse phase applications? Peter.
Yes, reverse phase applications works well. Reverse phase applications can be quite challenging because you very often, I mean, you always use water and a solvent, and that can create quite a high viscosity. And when using that with small particle size silica, you can create quite a lot of back pressure. So that's why the 3-piston pump here can do 50 bar of back pressure, can handle that, and can run these more complicated applications.
Okay.
Predominantly reverse phase.
Reverse phase, normal phase. Anyway, we don't have a problem there with the solvent, with the viscosity. So any application we can do with the instrument. The next question is the system compatible with all kinds of organic solvents, Peter?
Yes. So most of the components are high-grade material, so ETFE, PTFE, and they don't get affected by any solvent. So there may be some challenging applications. So for instance, if you use very acidic modifiers or very basic modifiers, then it's just advised that you purge the system after use and don't store the instrument. Or if you employ buffers, for instance, and leave it over some months in the system, then it can dry out and destroy the instrument. But there, just purge it out after use, and then you should be fine.
Okay, perfect. Now we come to the next question. Yeah, that's interesting. Nature product application. It's about preparative chromatography, and the question is, what is better? Is it better to use a flash instrument, or is it better to use a semi-prep HPLC instrument?
Yeah, here it always depends what you're after. If you're into purity, if you really want a pure fraction as possible, then of course using the more advanced prep HPLC columns is better. But here the goal is mostly to get the volume. You want a certain amount of fraction to collect. And there you use, of course, the larger particle size, pre-filled cartridges, and you do the separations with such an instrument. But if you target purity, then a prep HPLC instrument, a dedicated one, is much better.
And typically it's combined, right? That you'd use the flash as a pre-purification step.
Yes.
And afterwards prep HPLC?
So this is for the C800, C850 instrument.
Yep.
There we have the dual mode instrument where you can do the pre-purifications on flash and then the isolation of the compound on the prep HPLC side.
Good. Now we come again to the cartridges. We have here the clamp. You were talking about the clamp. Is it possible, I think it is for sure, to run the cartridge from the bottom to the top?
So anti-gravity
Anti-gravity,
separation.
exactly.
Yes, anti-gravity separation is possible. I prefer to do this mode because the equilibration, from my perspective, is much easier if you start with the dry cartridge and you push the solvent in from the bottom. I find it's easier for the air to escape and you have your equilibration done much faster.
Okay, perfect. What type of UV lamp is used in the instrument and what is the lifetime?
So we have a 4 fixed wavelength UV detector in the system. So that is 4 LED lamps inside. And they have, because they're LED lamps and not deuterium or halogen lamps, they have a much higher lifetime. So you can run this UV detector for 10 years, and then you have a slight degeneration of the signal intensity.
Okay. Okay, good. We have another question regarding the UV detector, Peter, and that is, could you please repeat the UV wavelengths of the detector?
Yeah, so we have 4 wavelengths. So 254, this is the standard one, 254 nanometers there. Most compounds are UV active. So this is the signal you should always use while doing the separations. And then we have 3 other ones. That's 275, 325, and 365 nanometers. So we cover the whole range from low UV wavelengths to high UV wavelengths.
And you can select, right? You can say either one of these wavelengths or all 4.
Yes.
That's possible.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Oh, we have more questions regarding UV detector. Can we use acetone with the UV detector?
Yeah, acetone is always a difficult solvent to do chromatography because it has a high UV cutoff range. So the cutoff range is really large. So you block the detector. So you basically make yourself blind. So typically, acetone is not used for this case for prep chromatography applications.
Correct. Okay, then we come to the racks. Peter, we have here 2 racks standard, right? Can we use more than 2 racks during a run?
Yes, so at the same time, you can only use, of course, 2 racks in the system. But once 1 rack is full, you can replace the full rack with a new rack and the instrument will just continue operation. And this is especially important for process or larger scale applications when you use the 3 kg or 5 kg columns.
Okay. Can I use, by the way, different racks?
Yes, that is also possible because when you place the rack in the instrument, you also define what kind or what type of rack is employed. And then the instrument automatically recognizes the vessel size and will collect accordingly.
Okay. Okay, let's see if we get more questions that's coming in. At the moment, we don't have more. But Peter, I have a question because, I frequently heard in the past from customers who ask, can I switch off the light in the fraction collector? Because sometimes you have some substances which are light sensitive. Is this possible?
Yes, this is possible with a click in the software. You can turn on and off the light.
Okay, perfect. Good. So I think, we don't get any more questions. So I think we have, or Peter has answered all your questions. Thanks a lot for joining this event. One thing I want to mention, if there is one question left, please use the QR code and submit your question. We will answer it. Thanks for joining. We hope you enjoyed it.
And have fun with the Pure Essential system.
And see you next time.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.